Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Rania Mulunje, an activist advocating for boy equal rights, just as the girl child rights. I'm here today as a partner from Prince V Charity Initiative, an initiative that is supporting children living with disabilities with basic needs and helping them to attain their rights out there just like any other children. 29 years ago, the United Nations General Assembly identified people with disabilities as a vulnerable group of people and went ahead with its signatories, including Uganda, to sign a date that is 3rd December of every year as a day to commemorate them. When we speak of people living with disabilities, these are people who are either having long-term physical, sensory, mental, or intellectual impairment that kind of limit them from participating effectively in the societies they live in today. Again, according to the latest version of the Uganda Gazette 2020, Article 3 of 2020 says that persons living with disabilities should enjoy fundamental and human rights as equal to the people that are termed to be living normally, and they should enjoy all the freedoms as enshrined in the Uganda Constitution. As Prince V Charity Initiative, we are focusing on people living with disabilities, but specifically children. The reason why we are focusing on children is because first of all, being a child is a vulnerable situation. Now imagine a situation where this child is again living with disabilities. It's a double vulnerability. So today we want to look into their rights and how the law has put in place measures to help them attain right, attain the needs, enjoy the human rights just like any other citizen of the nations they stay in. So, along with me today is David Onyango, who is a law student and a law researcher. He will be taking us through the partitions the law has put aside for the children living with disabilities. I think he can introduce himself to us now and drive us into the rights of the children living with disabilities.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me today. As she already said, I'm David Onyango, a law student, a legal researcher. I deal with anything to do with the legal spectrum. So mainly our topic today, we're looking at children with disabilities. And the main thing when you look at this entire theme is the fact of children and disabilities. According to the law, when we talk of a child, we talk of someone who is under the age of 18 years, and that is according to Article 23 of the Constitution of Uganda. And still, other laws provide for who a child is. The Children's Act, Chapter 59, provides for who a child is, and other laws, other authorities that we can talk about. So, mainly, the fact of disabilities has not started today or 1,000 years back, but it has started since the beginning of ages. And then we all know that when someone is not like the normal being, it comes with consequences. It comes with societal consequences. When I have something that is not normal about me, society will look at me like that, will judge me, will ask questions about me. So the law had to cover that. In the growth of the law and its development, there came a need to cover the children that are living with disabilities. And in 1990, the United Nations, under its organization, all the nations under the United Nations came to an understanding and an agreement that there should be laws that are made for such kids, such children that are living with disabilities. And through its conversion, rights were made, rights that were to be incorporated in all national laws as long as you are a member of the UN. So when you come to the Constitution under Chapter 4 of the 1995 Constitution as amended, you find that there are many rights that are laid down for persons that are living in this country. And among those rights are the rights that are to do with children that are living with disabilities. And that is specifically under Article 35. So, and to go on with other laws that provide for that, you can look at the Human Rights Act of 1998. You can look at the act that was specifically made for disabilities in Uganda in 2006, the Persons with Disabilities Act, which was actually amended through what you said earlier. It was amended and is now known as the Persons with Disabilities Act of 2020. So when you look at such provision, this is an assertion of the law about the stand of children with disabilities in the country, what should be done, and a commission is made. If a problem arises, an inquiry is made through a commission to look through that particular matter, and you find that the law is going to impose sanctions on someone who violates such rights. Yeah, so that's the provision part of the law. That is the stand of persons with disabilities and mainly children as part of our theme today.
All right. Picking from what you just said, you've spoken about how the law has impaired the different rights of children to consider the children who are living with disabilities as well. Maybe the viewer would love to know which specific rights are we talking of, that the children out there that we consider normal and these children that are living with special needs share together and they should achieve.
Yeah, in address of the fact of rights, under the legal spectrum, we have two kinds of rights. There are rights that are derogable and the rights that are non-derogable. In talk of the derogable rights, these are rights that can be changed, that can be superseded by another right. And the non-derogable ones are the rights that are absolute. So, just like any other person in society, the first absolute right that a child with disability enjoys is the right to life. That even under any circumstances, even in court proceedings, even if that person is a victim or is a convict under murder, where the punishment should be death, the law says that everyone has a right to life, and therefore that particular punishment is not going to stand by virtue of the right being absolute. So just like any other person in society, if I'm crippled, if my physical appearance is one of a crippled person, if my mental understanding is impaired, I'm not subject to being used as a point of experiment, let me say, without my consent, because that is a violation of my right to live and enjoying things exclusively like any other person would enjoy. So that is the first right that a person should enjoy. No one should take away their life, no matter what. The other right we talk about is mainly the right to education, any kind of education that one would want to acquire, be it traditional, be it the modern education that you're having, they enjoy that right equally with any other person around in society. So there are many rights that they enjoy. You look at the entire chapter 4 of the Constitution. There are like 50 chapters. They all entail rights. And the Constitution goes on to say that all rights should be enjoyed by every person, despite of their race, their color, and their physical or mental incapabilities, no matter what. So every right that is entailed under Chapter 4 of the Constitution should be enjoyed by any other child, any other person that is disabled in any way or the other.
All right. So when you spoke about the right to life, to live just like any other person around them, we've so many times noticed that children, let me say, with mental disabilities or physical disabilities, like the lame, dumb, or deaf, uh, live in societies where they consider them as an abomination. Like they make them stay away from the rest of the other children. They do not allow them play. They do not allow them eat together with the others. They lock them in the house or in a certain room or in a certain cage from morning to evening hours until they have to rest. So, what would the law do? Like, what is there in place for the violated rights of these children? Because when that happens, their right to life is being interfered with. So what would the law, or what is the law doing about that specific area of children?
Yeah, I think the first manifest about this is the provision of the law itself. Take an example where nothing did not exist at all. If the law did come out to maybe amend the act that is in force, we would say that the law is not acting according. And in law, we have a belief that every law comes as a result of a violation of something. That it's from someone being violated that the law is prompted to provide sanctions as to that violation. So the first stance is the law has provisions that have to be followed. The other thing that the law is doing to see that these people are not violated in any way that they are facing now is sensitization. Of recent, the UNICEF made an overview, an article calling upon all nation states to work on the violations that are going on, specifically to do with the recent COVID pandemic. This is where the children that were incapacitated somewhere, like we very well know that people who are living with mental impurities are not allowed to be in public because of certain reasons. But due to COVID, these people had to come back to society. They had to go back to their families. You understand? So that is where now the outlook had come. That is where they have faced the most challenges. And then this goes down to family level. You know, the law starts from family.
Yeah.
If you're my sister, you're impaired, I'm impaired, and then you're treating me as a savage, as an outcast, then it's starting with me. You don't have to wait for parliament to come down to the ground to see that I'm not treating you in a way I don't have to treat you. So I think sensitization by the UNICEF here centered on the family, that let the nations sensitize the families, that the families do what they have to do to see that these children are not suppressed or exploited in any way or the other. So I think that makes the basis of anything that would look to be to curb the challenge that they're facing. Like the right. So in summation of this entire right to life thing, we have understood that the right to life starts with the enjoyments around your well-being, the basic needs, because these things add up to what our life is going to be like, whether it's stopped or it is continued, in simple terms.